He
I
doesn't have an
can't
excuse.
roll
either.
my R's. That's a big one.
Yeah, neither could Lucas or I.
We're not talking about
We
that.
had this whole conversation last week in the office.
Yeah, that's the reason I took French in high school, not
That's
Spanish.
exactly why I took French.
Yeah, no, I was like, I can't roll my R's. I'm not taking Spanish.
I didn't have that foresight. I took Spanish and it didn't go well.
Just a heads up, there is some background noise at the front of this episode. We filmed in production, which comes with some background noise. But we really hope that you listen through. This was a very fun episode to record. Thank you for listening and watching wherever you consume the podcast. We have a lot of fun making these for you guys, and we hope that you enjoy them. Thanks.
Welcome to another episode of Cobbler with Cobblers. My name is Lucas, and today I'm joined with
My name's Jamin.
Jamin. And what is your title?
I am a... See, this is where it gets complicated already.
A bootmaker.
Bootmaker
Okay.
is the most general term, but primarily in bottoming.
Okay.
I also do know I started off in healing. Right now I'm learning how to last too.
Gotcha.
Soon, trademark, moving over to lasting.
Yeah. And how long have you been here?
Just over a year. Started in July of 2022, and right now it's August of 23.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, today we've got... What kind of cobbler we got? Oh, she's fixing cameras.
You know what it is.
Peach and blackberry cobbler.
See, but I did want to ask about the topping though, because that doesn't look like a... Oh, no, right?
Quit fixing the cameras
Yeah.
and answer the important questions, Kelsey.
Yeah,
Tell me
who needs
more
the
about
camera?
This is why people are here.
Yeah.
They want to
Okay.
know the cobbler.
What's the question?
Tell me about the topping.
So the topping is just like a drop biscuit
Okay.
dough. And then like before it goes in the oven, it gets brushed with a little bit of cream so it browns up, and then sprinkled with like coarse brown sugar.
Mm.
Right on.
Yeah,
So-
that's bomb.
All right, let's dish up.
Yeah.
Can do the honors, Jamin.
All right. Here, I'll let you grab. Here's your fork.
Thank you.
See, how greedy am I allowed to be with this?
That's up to you. That's why.
It's all for you.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be that greedy. As I take almost a quarter of the whole thing. No.
Go do what you wanted to do. Go with your instincts. You're just gonna come back for more.
I know, but that's like preferable to just taking it all off from the back.
I like that you're going for like a full quarter of it.
See, I just wanted the corner too. I'm always
it's all about
if
the
there's
corner.
a casserole or something like that,
Are
I'm
you
all
guys
about
both
the corner.
corner guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm all about the corner.
Yeah.
Cornbread,
that's where you get the best
casserole,
bites.
something. Yeah, I want the most amount of like crispy parts or brownies. The edge of the brownie. That's what I'm talking about.
Ooh, man, those peaches are like straight purple. You can't even look at that. Look at that.
That's so.
Look at that. Get a close up with that.
Yeah, I'm not zooming in.
Do like a zoom in, and you gotta turn on like the rainbow effects and then,
Yeah,
like hit
yeah.
markers and MLG sound effects. Yeah.
All that. Man, you should be on the media team. Do you have a favorite dessert
Favorite dessert.
or fruit? Or fruit dessert?
Favorite fruit has got to be mango.
Mango.
Mango. I feel like that's a pretty basic answer, but mango is definitely my favorite.
Is mango cobbler a thing?
I don't think mango cobbler is a thing, unfortunately.
Kelsey, make it a thing.
Yeah.
After avocado cobbler.
What the avocado cobbler?
Yeah.
All right, we trying that?
Delicious.
Looks good.
Where'd these blackberries come from, Kelsey?
Oh, these are from my dad's house.
Oh,
The house grew the blackberries.
Yeah, the house did it. It's a smart house.
wow. That's amazing.
We really do live in the future.
Your dad has blackberries and what was
Raspberries.
raspberries? Any other fruits?
No, but I did go huckleberry picking a couple weeks ago, so I got a bunch of frozen huckleberries too that I can use.
Nice. I still have yet to have. No, that's not true. I've had like huckleberry lemonade.
But
Huckleberry
that's the only
lemonade's good.
huckleberry thing you've had?
I think so.
Ever had huckleberry ice cream, dude?
No.
That stuff's good.
Yeah.
No, I haven't. So, you're a bootmaker. You've traveled around a little bit, done healing, you've done some lasting. Currently, what's your like day-to-day look like?
So it depends on whether or not I'm currently needing lasting or bottoming, because we're in a kind of weird spot with the company in terms of personnel. But dependent usually is I'll start if I'm bottoming for the full day. or I'm lasting for about half the day and bottoming for the rest. I'm usually doing some bottoming at least throughout the day. So basic days, I'll just come in and then I'll just bottom for the whole day. My number's about 14 pairs per day.
Okay.
Can hit that pretty comfortably now. Starting out definitely it took a while to get there. There's like it's a pretty like, the curve starts out sharp, you learn a lot early on, you get a lot faster early on, and then it tapers off and you just slowly get faster and faster.
For people listening and who don't like live this every day, can you explain what you do in bottoming exactly? Like
Sure.
what parts of the boot do you put together?
So bottoming encompasses both shanking and bottoming. We get the boots after they've been lasting. They've been stretched over the shoe last. We first have to make those cuts on the vamp that are important for our stitch down construction. And then we install the shank, and then we put on the midsole, nail on the midsole, glue on the outsole, and then off it goes to stitching.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. So it's a little bit of lasting, soling,
Yeah.
just not stitching anything together.
No. But there's a lot of like, I think one of the things early on is I didn't realize like, yeah, part of the job is just to put the sole on. But as a bottomer, part of your job is also make the stitcher's job as easy as possible.
Yeah.
Because those stitchers, you don't want to put anything through that machine that it's not going to like. And so we have to be very particular about the way we shank it and the way we bottom it. So for example, the stitcher won't hit one of our bottoming nails.
Right.
Or it won't catch on the skive where we cut the vamp and then the stitches will run underneath it and stuff like that. So yeah, you could just throw the sole on, but part of your job is also to make the stitcher's job easy.
Yeah, we just you talked about this a little bit during our first ever Nick's boot meetup. Was that last week, 2 weeks ago? Talked about having to make sure it's glued down and then you know hammered down well so there's no air bubbles.
Exactly.
Yeah, because if there's an air bubble, that'll just tear the boot apart when it goes through stitching, and then we basically have to start over after that.
Yeah.
At the very least, basically rebuild it.
One of my things is I'm the guy that makes the corks.
Okay.
So
they've been handed that torch to you.
yeah, I wouldn't say it's hard. There's just things you have to watch out for, and you just have to keep an eye on it. But you have to do you can't take any shortcuts with any of the gluing cycles or any of the way you put on the heel. Because I know how to heel, Mikey makes me put the heels on the cork boots as well.
Oh, okay. So you do the whole thing.
I do the whole thing basically.
How long does it take you to make one of those soles? Because you guys have to hand punch the holes and then add the spikes in and everything.
To give you an idea, so normally, usually in a day, like the baseline number is 12 pair. I do about 14 pair.
Overachiever.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, I like to make everyone else look bad. Anyways, that's not why. But usually one of those corks will knock me down to 10 or maybe 11 pair in a day. So
wow. Okay.
It's hard to tell you exactly, give you a time on how long it takes.
Sure.
In order to do it effectively, I'll do a little bit, then glue has to dry, so I'll go off and do something else, then do a little bit more, and then go off and do something else. So I kind of weave it into my day, but it will be enough. I would say maybe hour and a half out of my day, just extra. Whereas a normal pair would probably take 15 minutes to an hour.
Wow. Well, it's a good thing we're not putting through about 60 of those a day like we
there
are.
was. This was a couple weeks ago.
So like a dealer order or something?
No, it wasn't a dealer order.
Okay.
I come in. So Andrew, my manager, which you guys are very familiar with, previously done a couple episodes with, he on Friday afternoon brings me a boot and is like, "Here you go, Jamin. This is some fun for Monday." I look at the ticket, replaceable caulks right there on the outsole, block heel, thankfully, which are a little bit easier than the spring heels. And so I was like, okay, well that's that to look forward to all weekend. And so I come in on Monday, do the cork, finish most of it on Monday, and then just have to screw in the spikes on Tuesday, and then I send it out. And then on Thursday, Andrew comes over to me with a big old smile and a pair of boots in his hand, and he puts it down. I look at the ticket, another pair of corks, a spring heel this time. So I do that most of Thursday, finish it Friday. So there was that 1 week I did 2 corks in 1 week. And
wow.
Yeah, it's something.
I think we both found our way to Nick's kind of in similar ways. Can you talk about how you came
also,
on to
this is
Nick's?
going to sound a little creepy, but I've known you longer than you've known me. So
I mean, that's just
I love the internet.
That's kind of the price of fame,
exactly,
I guess.
yeah. But but I remember you had one post where you kind of showed off your entire collection. You had a pair of I think it was you had a pair of Wescos in there.
Yep.
I think you also had a pair. Was it Lucchese's that?
Yep.
That was had
My
been
Luke
messed up.
AC. Yeah. I have those actually by my desk right now.
I just remember you had this post as like 15 to 20 pair or something in there. Or at the time, it was maybe
it's
around
grown.
12 pair.
It was something like that.
Yeah. But I just remember I saw your flare, and it was like employee, or I forget exactly what it said, but it said you worked at Nick's.
Yeah.
Your title wasn't like merchandise manager at the time. I don't think.
No, yes. Okay. So that was, I'm trying to remember like timeline there. That was after I'd moved here.
Yeah.
I did an updated collections, photos. I was at my first house when I moved here. Yeah. So I think I was lead fitter at that time.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was fitter
yeah,
at Nick's
yeah.
Boots. That's what your flare was. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so that's when I showed off my whole collection. I forgot what prompted me to do that. I think someone was asking about it or something. I've got the Lucchese's, I've got the West Coast, I've got Whites, I've got Nick's, I've got Danners.
Yeah. But I just remember I saw your flare. I was like, oh, hey, this guy works at Nick's.
Yeah.
And then there were 2 AMAs after that before I'd gotten to Nick's. And so basically at the time, I remember I saw that AMA, and at the time I was a sophomore or a junior in college. So I was born and raised in Seattle.
Okay.
Went to school at UW Seattle. Spring quarter of sophomore year, COVID hit. So we all go online, and then all of junior year I'm online. And I think that AMA was either around my end of my sophomore year or sometime during my junior year. I forget. It
had to be 2020, 2021.
So yeah, I forget exactly when it was, but I just remember asking. I was like, "Hey, I'm a junior in college. I think this is something I want to do, to come out and make boots." And Shyler gave me the very smart advice of, "Hey kid, you've got 2 years left in school. Finish that first, and then we'll see how you maybe then come on out and see if you still want to do this." So I was stuck at home. I'd been into boots as a hobby. I had a pair of Red Wings and then a pair of Vibergs that I bought secondhand. I'd never tried making anything, so I got into wallet making as like a kind of a way into leather work to see if this was something I wanted to do. So I made wallets for about a year at home, stuck inside during COVID with online school. I will say my GPA has never been higher though. I was not cheating on my exams. If anybody's watching this from UW, I was not cheating on my exams. My GPA was higher than ever, but my information retention was not.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, so I ended up finishing school, graduating with my degree in civil engineering in June of 2023. And then I messaged Shyler on Reddit again, and I was like, hey, graduated now. I still think this is something I want to do. And so I come on out, visit, do a little tour, talked with Serge, talked with Grant. And then we decided, I was like, okay, right now I bought a car after school too. So waiting for the car to get delivered. It would be moving out here to Spokane and then starting work. And that happened in 1 month later in July.
Right on. Yeah. So you went to college for civil engineering. And it's actually, I want to make boots.
Yeah. And it's not so much I dislike civil engineering. It was more so I kind of wanted to make boots more.
Right on. No, that's awesome. I think it's funny because I think from both Shyler and Mikey comments about the fact that you went to college for engineering and you decided, like, I've heard Mikey before where he's just like, I don't know what Jamin's doing. This idiot. He came here instead of pursuing his engineering job.
Yeah. Or anytime they need anything like fixed, they'll just like, why don't we ask the engineer? Just like as a joke. So yeah.
Which I remember you coming out to like tour the facility, and I think I could be making this part up, but I'm pretty sure I remember after you left, Shyler's like, yeah, he's on Reddit, he wants to work here, but he's got like an engineering degree. I don't know why he'd come here.
Shyler made that very clear. He was like, like talking about pay. He's like, you'll never make as much as an engineer.
Yeah.
And he had to make that very clear. He mentioned that 3-4 times, and I was like, I understand. Like, I know this sounds ridiculous, but and then when Serge found out I had an engineering degree, and he was like, "Are you sure, man? He's like, you sure this is what you want to do?" And I'm just like, "Yeah, I want to at least give this a shot." Yeah, that was my logic at the time. It's like, if it doesn't work out, I can either stay in Spokane or go back home to Seattle, use my degree, get into work there, and I'd be happy with that too. But
yeah,
I'm happier here. That's the thing. It was like, Shyler also gave this advice: is to be like realistic with it. I could come out here, I could start the work. Maybe it's not for me. Yeah. Maybe it's not what I thought it would be, or I can't take it, or it's harder than I thought, or it's too hard on my body, or whatever the case may be. Like, I just had to be realistic. So I made peace with the fact that it might not have worked out before I even moved here.
Yeah. No, I think that's awesome. I mean, I think you do a good job of treating everyone really well here, but I mean, I'm of like the same frame of mind. With like, I would rather enjoy what I do and be passionate about what I do, and maybe not make as much as a civil engineer.
Exactly.
I have no shot at being a civil engineer, but just to the point of, you know, when you enjoy what you do, it's cliche, but when you enjoy what you do, it's...
No, it really is. Like,
yeah.
some of my friends out of college making almost triple what I make here. But they're salaried, working about anywhere from 60, 70, 80-hour weeks, sometimes 6-7 days a week, 10, 12-hour shifts, so on and so forth, this, that, and the third. And
Yeah.
I don't know. Some people enjoy it. I think the money would make me enjoy it, but the work
Force yourself.
definitely probably would not.
Yeah.
But here it's like, this is going to sound very cheesy, but it's been over a year now, and still every about, you know, a Friday, it's Friday. I'm happy. I'm waiting. I'm ready to go home, play for the weekend. But about Sunday afternoon, I'm like, man, I want to go back. I want to go back to work. I can't wait for Monday. I want to
That's awesome.
go back in and get back to it. So, yeah.
Right on. But yeah, it's really cool having so many people on that forum.
Yeah. I'm also proud of our Reddit community.
Yeah, it's like surprisingly, like I feel like Reddit kind of has a rep for being, it's like a step above Facebook in terms of like
Yeah, just like
toxicity.
Yeah.
But our Reddit community is like, every once in a while someone will post something of like, you know, bad experience or something. Someone will say, my boots don't fit. What do I do? And everyone just jumps in like, reach out to customer service. They'll
Yeah,
make
it's
it
like,
right
hey,
for you. Yeah,
you guys,
yeah.
y'all done my job. So.
Yeah, that's why I've like taken a step back a little bit, because I like, anytime I see something that's like customer service related, I'll open it up and there's already 5 messages
From like people that don't even work here.
Yeah, just like no, just reach out to customer. Here's the email.
Yeah, here's the phone
link.
number.
Yeah.
Here's the time they're open. And what days they're
exactly.
open. Yeah.
It's like sweet. We're at like 4,000 people. We've got like 4,000 customer service reps.
Don't get any ideas if any of you are on Reddit. You guys are not getting a cut for this. Okay, so.
But if you're,
but if you want to move out here and work for us, we're taken. So.
It's been shown that Reddit
works. It works
better than Indeed.
Yeah, 200% success rate because there's 2 of us here.
Right.
You can tell I went to school for
I think that's how the math works.
Yeah.
That is how the math works.
Yeah.
You can trust me. I have a degree.
The Reddit community, is the community the best part of the job to you, or what, in your opinion, what's the best part of this job?
I kind of just like making the boots.
Oh, all right.
Like, I'm being honest. Like I just
Yeah.
like work coming in. One of my favorite processes is the nail pattern on the midsole.
Okay.
Because I've gotten so fast at it. It's about a minute to 2 minutes to just throw the nail pattern. So when I was starting out, I'd see Zach do a midsole and he'd be like, yeah, you know, minute flat. And I'm like, I'm over here taking 7 minutes per midsole. And I was like, one day it just like, you have these sort of steps like, oh, if I hold my hand this way or step around the boot this way, then I can consistently get the right spacing every time. And so you just hit these milestones and then you get a little bit faster and a little bit faster. And then you just realize like, hey, I just did a midsole in like 2 minutes.
Wow.
And then that's one of my favorite parts.
And now, according to you, you're the fastest in your department.
Me and my coworker Jake right next to me, we talk about it sometimes, but we kind of race each other every morning. We're just like, you know, just like me and him are kind of like a brotherly rivalry.
Gotcha.
Me and him, like we both started bottoming about the same time. Both got trained by Andrew and Zach. Me and him, we kind of race each other. We're both usually on par for speed, numbers, quality, stuff like that. So
I learned, I think from you, again, at the Nick's Boots meetup, you mentioned that like everyone has kind of a different nail pattern. That you can almost tell the bootmaker by the nail pattern. Is that just like
this is a very nerd thing.
Is that just distance between nails?
So it's like distance between nails, how hard they angle it depends. Also changes on like how far into the boot or out of the boot it's placed. How tight that second, because you know around the shank we have 2 rows. There.
Yeah.
How tight that second row is, and spacing how many they put in that second row or that first row. Spacing around the heel, you can kind of just tell. I've gotten to the point I can tell whose boot it is based on how it's trimmed. So just on how they trimmed it around the thumb, I can be like, okay, yeah, Jake trimmed that one or Alan trimmed that one, whatever. Because everybody has these little ticks, kind of like how they do things. And what matters is that the end product is the same, right?
Right.
And obviously they are all the same. Otherwise, we'd be like, hey, why am I getting all these boots back? And the ticket says Jamin did all these ones. It's just these tiny little things that I just, you know.
That's really cool.
It's just cool to see.
That'd be really interesting too. You know, a year or 2 years from now, when you get a resole back, and you can, if you peel that midsole back, you can be like, oh,
He's like, yo, I did this one. Yeah.
That's really neat.
Mm-hmm.
Never knew that. I know there's other areas. We used to have different sewing patterns.
Oh, is it like the?
There's like Nick's
Is that
Contender.
white Nick's and then Contender, and there's
Yeah.
also like the round.
Round
backstay and the
backstay,
square
backstay. So like at the very corner of the boots, now we do a rectangle. We used to also have a triangle version. And the only reason for that, as far as I understand, was so that when we rebuild the boot, we can look at the uppers after it's been torn down and know the construction of the rest of the boot.
Exactly.
Before we had digital records and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But there were customers who used to point this out and be like, "Oh, is this like a signature of like I know which bootmaker did it?"
Yeah.
Which I thought would be a cool thing, but not quite the truth. But it's cool to know that that's like internally there's a signature.
And those nail patterns, like you're never gonna see
Right,
them, right?
yeah.
Like you can be as sloppy as you want with it. No one would ever know. You can throw the ugliest, sloppiest, and unstraight nail pattern as long as it holds it together.
But to be clear, that's not what we do.
That's not what we do. No.
Our nail patterns are perfect.
Watch the videos. Watch specifically me. I'm the best one. So
yeah, hear that? Everyone else who works in bottoming.
This is sarcasm.
Jamin is, according to him, better than you.
Anyways, shall we?
What are some in your entire bootmaking experience? What are some like common challenges or obstacles that arise during the bootmaking process that you have to deal with and overcome? And how do you overcome them?
Usually, it's just like because leather's a natural material.
Yeah.
It does not. Sometimes it just doesn't go the way you want it to. You can do two boots exactly the same way and they won't come out the same. It's especially frustrating during lasting, which is because I'm learning it. I'm not that great at it. So it's like, I do a boot and it comes out great, and then I do the next one the exact same way and then it does not.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And that's when I go crying to work father Andrew, and then I'm like, please help. So there's sort of like that variability, but then nowadays not really much bothers me anymore.
Okay.
But I will say weather shield.
That was going to be my next question. So I think this has become, we have determined for whatever reason. Well, I guess I know the reason.
I can't explain the reason. If
Weather shield brown or both weather shields are bottoming's least favorite.
This is definitely not true, but for some reason I feel like the black is a little better.
That's what Andrew said, specifically weather shield brown, and I'm like, why? They're the same leather, but different color.
I will say max support walnut and max support black, in terms of workability, are very different.
It must come down to
like the way the dyes interact with the leather or whatever.
Like they probably have to, it's like printing on t-shirt. Like black, you have to do more passes than a lighter color to get it to really show. So it's probably the same in terms of dyeing. If there's like more dye in it, less dye in it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So weather shield brown.
Weather shield brown
is the worst.
I have lasted a couple heels of weather shield. It won't sit down
because it's
like the silicone inside of it. It like because part of lasting is when you're doing that heel, you pull it with your shank pliers and then you want to hammer it down, get it nice and flat, so that way there's not a huge bulge in your midsole when you go to put the midsole on. And it's just so hard to get those pleats to lay flat and like lay the way you want it to. And this is just bootmakers being whiny. Well, it really is like it does take a little bit more.
I just had this thought. This is like a silly have you seen that? I guess I don't know if you call them memes, like TikTok, where it's like, what do guys do that give you the ick? And it's like, I mean, you guys have seen this, right?
Yeah.
And then and the guy pulls up this list of like 100 things and he types in another thing, just like a random thing. I just like a version of that where it's like, what's the best boot leather to make boots out of? And we're just like crossing things off the list as everyone says their answer. Because like,
I know sewers have a very different opinion than us on a lot of things.
Sewing has a different opinion. Lasting has a different opinion.
Mike has a very different opinion.
Yeah.
Like case in point is the bison.
Yeah.
Because I know cutting. I listened to the episode with Nathaniel, and the bison. I know you have to make sure those grain patterns like match up with each other, and I know it's a pain. But for sewing, it's so soft and supple. It's real easy to sew. It's amazing to last. I love lasting it. And then like bottoming it, making those skies, like making that hard crease around the outside. It is great to work with. And then Mikey also doesn't like the bison because it's so supple. It tends to want to bunch up in the machine.
Yep.
So
same thing with like.
That's why healing is so nice, because you don't care about any of that.
I guess the easier answer or easier question to answer is, what's your favorite leather to work with?
Probably Chrome XL.
Chrome XL.
I love Chrome XL. Almost all my boots are Chrome XL.
So is this personally your favorite leather?
Personally,
or like
my favorite
to
leather.
work
I
with
like
also?
working with it too.
Okay.
It's real easy to work with. Good, like medium temper, not too hard, not too soft. It's real easy to last, real easy to cut, real easy to skive, real easy to bend and crease. Like, it's.
And I know cutting hates Chrome XL because it shows imperfection so much. And then I know
finishing by extension,
yeah. So it's all these different qualities.
Exactly.
Yeah, I guess the answer is there's no such thing as a perfect leather.
No.
So Chrome XL is your favorite. Weather Shield Brown is your least favorite.
Runner up, 64 Brown.
Okay.
Is a pretty nice one to work with.
64 Brown might be the.
It is
like
it's like
the happy medium for everybody.
Yeah. Everybody seems to be like not like excited to do brown.
It's not your favorite, but you don't hate it.
You don't hate it, exactly.
Yeah,
so like I see if I get a full run of all 64 brown boots, I'm like, okay, I'm happy.
So yeah, everybody just order 64 brown for us, please.
Yeah.
Looking back on your entire long bootmaking career
Of 1 year.
Yeah. What do you find like the most rewarding about the process?
Sometimes it definitely it is when someone posts a boot online like, hey, I just got my new boots, or I've been wearing these boots for so long, and then I can be like, hey, I remember making these boots.
Yeah.
Because doing 12 to 14 pair a day, it's really easy to just think of every boot you do as a number. You're like, okay, this is just another number, it's just another boot. But then when I see someone's like, hey, I just got my new MTO and it turned out perfectly, and I'm real happy and it fits great and it's comfortable, and it's like, oh, that's cool.
On the sales team, since we get the messages directly, we have a thread of like sentiments. So every time someone sends a message that's like, I love your boots, this is that, so happy, thank you so much, we like post it. Or so there's like somewhere we could just post a screen of just like scrolling sentiments
set
back
up
here.
a TV in the break room. Just like just scrolling like the
Just
Star
thank
Wars
yous.
intro. It's just
Customers really appreciate what we do, and it's really humbling, like you said, like to be like, wow, that person's gonna use those boots, like, and that's gonna make a big difference in their job, in their day.
And even if it is just for like fashion,
Yeah.
like it's just someone's like, I just got my new boots, they look sick, I feel like $100 wearing them. It's like that's just as cool to me as someone's like, hey, I'm a firefighter, I need a pair of boots.
Is there a particular like aspect of your job that has a steep learning curve?
I think what happens is everything together is what makes it steep, because you have to learn. Shanking and bottoming has so many little processes and little steps along the way, little tips and tricks you learn as you go along, that it's hard to learn it all at once, and it's hard to teach it too. That's one thing that I can't even imagine where I'd even start to teach someone on how to do this stuff, because if you just go through it chronologically, it's like, okay, well, here's like a dozen plus steps you have to do. And then you think, it's like, okay, well, here's this tiny little thing I have to remember about this one step, and then now multiply that for all the steps that you have to do. And then there's processes, then you have to execute that step. And then that's what makes it hard, is there's so many tiny things to keep track of and slowly like build up. A lot of what happens too is you'll see like a tiny little scratch or like a little bit of discoloration. It's like, this guy's going to wear his boots one time outside, it's going to look worse. But as a matter of principle, you cannot send that boot out to someone.
I think that's been an interesting evolution for us in the last like 2 to 3 years. For 60 years, we're making black work boots, logger boots, fire boots, lineman boots. And, recently we got into the heritage market where previously we were able to say, oh, that's fine, it's work boots.
Yeah, exactly.
But now it's like people are paying $600, $700 for these boots because they look nice. You buy a new pair of boots, you should get a new pair of boots.
Exactly.
Which has been a tough thing to like change our state of mind to.
Yeah.
And
sometimes it does, like, at least from my point of view, I've gotten, because I'm in the mind, is like, oh, it's leather, scratch it up, beat it up.
Yeah.
That's what you're supposed to use it for. One of the things I'm fighting is misinformation online. There's a lot of misconception about boot making in general, or what you do, and so.
Sure. Yeah.
And I don't claim to be an expert. I've only been here a year. I do.
But
all
you're
I
a civil
can
engineer, so
True.
I mean.
Yeah, so that compounds.
Yeah, exactly.
So that like multiplies. So I really have like 20 years of experience.
Exactly.
So.
No, it's a good point of like you say like, oh, my boot's gonna fall apart now. We see that every once in a while where someone's like, yeah, how did this pass QC? If this went wrong, how do I know? Like, how can I trust this boot? I think anyone who appreciates boots, these leather boots, learns to appreciate the fact that like our boots look great when they're brand new. I have never seen a brand new boot next to a 2-year-old boot that looks better than that 2-year-old boot.
Exactly.
Like, that's the great thing about the boots is, yeah, they look good out of the box, but they're going to look so much better once you've worn them for 5-6 years.
Exactly. Some people buy leather and they complain that it creases too.
Right.
They're
So
like,
yeah, I think that's like an education thing, and that
Exactly,
might be what
yeah.
you're talking about. Is like teaching people that it's okay that there's a crease in
Exactly,
your leather.
yeah.
We get those emails all the time.
This is gonna sound super cheesy too, but that's kind of one of the things that leather has taught me because. Okay, yeah, I told you it was gonna sound cheesy, but before I even got into boots as a hobby, I was always like a stickler of things have to be just so. I folded my clothes super crisp, ironed them super flat. I wanted everything to be clean, consistent, like engineered.
Yeah.
But-
no, it's cheesy, but
Yeah.
it's a fair point of like
Yeah.
when you're working with natural materials, you're working with a product that is like 99% natural materials. You learn that imperfections
Exactly.
are not a bad thing.
Exactly,
and
part of it,
sometimes
yeah.
a good thing. Yeah.
And also, I love music too, and one of the things I love is just improvisation, especially in jazz and blues. And you listen to someone just soloing over some blues standard or whatever, and so you can hear like, oh, he's a little off pitch there or whatever, or like maybe this lick isn't as clean as that, or like whatever. And it's like those little imperfections are what gives it personality. That's what I look for. I don't like my music to be perfect. It's like that's not what I want. People, they play the same classical pieces over and over, but every pianist who plays a Chopin etude or whatever has their own interpretation of, oh, I should be a little softer here, a little harder there. That's that little personal injection into it that I love. And the same applies to leather.
You were into boots before you started working here, like you mentioned. How many pairs of boots do you own?
Right now or before I started working?
Right now.
Okay, right now I'm counting in my head. Am I missing one?
That's what I do. I thought I was at 23. I'm actually at 24.
I am at way less than that. I think I'm between 5 or 6 pair.
Oh.
Because there's one that I put away that I think I might have forgotten about.
Those are rookie numbers.
I know.
Yeah, we haven't found someone who's beaten Lucas's numbers yet.
Hey, do another podcast 20 years from now, and then we'll see.
All right.
I'm getting that free pair every year, you know that?
Well, I've been racking that up for almost 10 years now.
I have 5 pair. So 2 pairs of Knicks, 2 pairs of Vibergs, and 1 pair of whites.
Oh, okay.
So pretty modest. I started out with a pair of Red Wing Iron Rangers, as most everyone did.
You said it's a modest collection, but honestly, that's like 5 really good pairs of boots. Yeah. Which one's your favorite out of all 5? You better say Knicks. Otherwise, this is your last day.
Okay, they actually are. They actually are my Knicks. The ones I'm wearing right now, they're kind of a little contraband, maybe.
What are they? Tell us the specs.
So, okay, this is gonna be very nerdy. 55 last, 6-inch, rolled top, black chrome XL, brown thread on the uppers instead of black thread, antique hardware, hooks and eyes, plain toe, 269 Western sole, classic heel, which I took one lift out of because I was gonna use the 430 heel cap on it instead because I didn't want to use a Quabog heel cap. And because the cap's a little thicker, that's why I took one layer out of the leather. And then I have a brown edge, but a black midsole on the top. So like the top of the midsole is black, but the edge is brown.
We're going to have to bleep out the part where you said brown stitching. No, I'm just kidding. That's fine. That's fine. No, those are pretty sweet.
Yeah, I know you're not a fan of black boots, and neither I was not either. So, but when I got these ones are
breaking all the style rules though. Black and brown.
It's casual. That's for like suiting.
That's fair. Yeah. It's funny though because I have a pair of black and brown boots, mostly black.
Yeah, so I really do like these ones. They fit
those
amazing.
Are pretty sweet.
Like no break-in, felt great. I had Andrew last them.
The brown thread looks real cool.
I know.
I like it.
And then my next closest though are a pair of natural Chrome XL brogue cap toe 2030 last Viberg service boots.
Oh,
which, oh my god! Here, I'll just show. I have this one picture of it. We're gonna be here all night.
Bunch of boot nerds. So other than nerding out about boots and jazz, what kind of hobbies do you have outside of work?
I play a lot of video games.
All right.
Kind of a depressing amount of video games.
That's all right.
See, I usually mention that as my last hobby, but I'll start off with that one. I have a PC that I built. Been playing video games like almost all my life. So
here's the thing: We gotta get rid of the stigma about video games.
No, I'm fully for the stigma about video games. I understand why it's there.
No, hey, that's fair. That is fair.
But my more like hobbies that I'm more proud of, I'll say. No, I'm joking. No, I like playing video games. I'm not unhappy with the amount of time I've spent playing video games.
I will say I was gifted a gaming PC over the last month. I'm like, oh god, what have you done?
Yeah, exactly.
I've always been console, and now I have a PC. I'm just like,
it's like a whole new world.
Yeah.
I love cooking.
Okay.
Like my mom she's been cooking for like her whole life. So she's the oldest of 3 siblings. I was born in Seattle, but both of them come from working class families in Hong Kong.
Mm-hmm.
Both parents working. So my mom basically had to raise her siblings. So she learned how to cook from the age of like 3 or 4. Been cooking, like she knows more about cooking. And then she'll say like, oh no, grandma knows more than me. So, but you know, she's like an inspiration to me in terms of culinary arts
awesome.
and that kind of stuff. So I love cooking. I love experimenting with different things. And so,
right on.
And then also I play the piano. Been playing the piano since 4th grade. I'm too lazy to do the math on how far ago that was. Actually, I'm doing the math right now. Like 15 years now? I'm 23 for reference.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I've been
I
playing
am
for a
glad
while.
I didn't say anything because I had a real dumb moment right there.
What? Say it. It'll be really funny.
No, it's fine.
Were you gonna subtract 4 from his age?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I was like, yeah.
Yeah, you start 4th grade at 4 years old.
Yeah, that's exactly what my thought was.
But yeah, no, I will say though, it's definitely been a little harder to play piano since I started work because you know it's
You're using your hands more.
yeah. So like it's inevitable. Bootmaker hands.
Yeah.
Your muscles get a little tighter.
Yeah.
You know, it's inevitable. I also do like lifting too.
Okay.
So usually I'll go work out after work, which isn't the best for numbers in terms of how much I can lift, but I'd rather not wake up at 3 a.m. like some people we know. Andrew.
So piano, cooking, boots,
Piano, cooking, boots,
video
lifting,
games.
working here. Yeah.
Working here is a hobby.
Working
Making
here,
boots
no,
is a hobby.
It really is. Like you know the cheesy ass saying. It's like, no, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. But I mean, you know, it is still work.
Yeah.
I still like, man, I want to go home and lay on the couch and eat as many pizza rolls as I can.
Man, I haven't had a pizza roll in years.
Yeah, I couldn't resist. I was at Safeway the other day. There was like the little yellow tag, and it was like membership deal. It's like,
There's nothing better than that molten hot explosion.
see,
you bite into
I'm
a
too
pizza
nice
roll.
about it. I wait the specified 2 minutes before I eat it. Same goes for Hot Pockets. I always waited to eat the Hot Pockets.
I have never waited
I made
for
that
something
mistake.
to
I
cool
made the
down to
mistake
eat it.
once, and then you get like that sandpapery tongue for the next couple days, and then I'm just like, I don't like that anymore. So I'm gonna wait for my food to cool down.
What are 3 pieces of advice you'd give your younger self?
See, I like what Andrew had to say about this.
Don't cheat. I know he
His
copped
answer
out.
He had a unique answer.
His
when
answer
he,
was super
when he said it,
good.
I was like, man, that's true.
What did he say again?
He was like,
He said, like, I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't give any advice.
it's like
'cause
if you
then
give advice, then you'd want something to go different.
yeah, because he's like,
Right.
I like the way my life went.
That's a cop out.
It is a cop out, but I'm thinking about it now. It's like I'm kind of glad the way things went.
That's just a
So
cop
you know
out
what?
for
Fine,
when you can't think of
fine.
anything.
3 actual pieces of advice.
Play less video games. Is that one or no?
I wouldn't. No, not really. I don't really regret playing video games. Definitely, like in high school, and then also through college, I was the bookworm.
Okay.
I was the one. I just did all my homework, took like a bajillion AP classes in high school, did all my classes in college, always had good grades. I think I had like 2 A minuses in all of high school. And then, yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, we're all like that, right?
Yeah.
Um,
No.
College was a little bit of a different story, but definitely still. But yeah, I don't regret any of that. So I would say just learn to slow down a little. That's definitely one of the things. Like when I was going through school, going through whatever in life, I was just, let's get through it and get it done.
Yeah.
And then like now that I'm working here, I can appreciate just slowing down a little bit. I still go fast. Like physically I move fast, but then I don't think like, I don't rush myself when I'm going fast, right? There's a difference there.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
definitely just slow it down. It's okay. Take a breath. Okay, this is actual piece of advice. Don't hate the piano. Because when I was like, I didn't appreciate it. My entire time, my parents were forcing me to It's like keep taking lessons. And at the time, I was like, man, I don't want to keep taking lessons. I want to go home and play video games.
Yeah.
So learn to appreciate the piano and what it gave you, because I'm not. It didn't really teach me any lessons, but it's just like something that I didn't appreciate. Like, I'm glad I can still have that hobby. I still enjoy playing it, and so that's definitely something I wish I appreciated more as I was still learning. I really did not appreciate it until like 2-3 years after I stopped taking lessons. And then last piece of advice.
We're not moving forward until you think of one.
Okay.
No, that's
I want to go home and eat those pizza rolls, man. Come on.
That's right.
No.
No. We can move on.
All right, 2 pieces of advice.
To be fair, I also only could think of 2.
Yeah.
And
You can think of a third?
No.
Yeah, it's hard to think of a third one.
Yeah.
I'm still going with Andrew's answer.
It's such a good answer.
Yeah. Honestly though, I really am happy with the way things turned out. Like, I'm glad I finished school. I'm glad I took the jump to move out here. I'm glad I made the decisions I did. And it's like, I'll just start rattling off about.
It's a sickness. No, we all do it.
Sure, like my family would be like, "No, it's cool when you talk about these." I'm like, you don't have to lie.
I've done the full progression now, where it got to a point where I was like, people will ask a simple question,
and
the most simple question, and I just regurgitate like 15 minutes of information. But now it's to the point, partly I think because everybody I interact with outside of work also at one point or another worked here. Some still work here. My brother used to work here.
Okay.
And then our only friends in Washington, because we're not from Washington, worked here for a little bit. So I'll go hang out with them, or I'll hang out with Becca and Kelsey, or some other work friends, and it's like boots. And I'm the person who's like, can we not talk about boots? I'm not on the clock. Let's not talk about boots, please. Even because I'm gonna be there on Reddit while we're there. Boots, I'm just like, I want to put my phone down and not talk about boots.
It's kind of been a plague for me. Is I'll go home. The first thing I do, well, not the very first thing. I'll go home, take a shower, and then boot up the PC, open 2 tabs: r/goodyearworld, r/Nick's Handmade Boots, and then I read all of them.
That's the tricky thing about.
And if I don't answer, it's because I started typing and it just got too long, and I was like, "This guy doesn't need to know all this," and I'll just end up Control-A, delete, and then I'm like, I don't want to type up a new answer. So if I don't answer your question, that's why.
That's the tricky thing about getting into an industry, because it's a hobby. You love what you do. You won't work a single day in your life. No, you'll be working 24/7, and you'll be fine with not getting paid for it, because it's just what you like to do.
It is what I like to do.
I have watched. And this is no joke, I have watched every single YouTube review out there on Nick's Boots.
Really?
The only thing I watch on YouTube, I have 2 channels I watch, and then I will just Nick's Boots sort by newest. Yeah. And I'll just scroll through and watch except for the ones we make. But I'll watch every other Nick's. Mostly because I'm like, I know what happens.
See, I still watch our production videos.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know why.
Do you watch all that?
I work here. I do the same process like a dozen times a day.
Are you ever surprised by what happens? Like, oh wow, that's how many nails they put in it?
No.
Are you watching the How It's Made videos?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
This is not healthy. Don't get it. I can get it twisted. Get it twisted. This is healthy. This is a good work-life balance. No, I'm the same way. Instead of watching the reviews though, I watch boot making videos. And it's not so much like I'm not trying to gather information and be like, oh yeah, we're gonna steal this process. No, I'm just a nerd. I like seeing boots be made. This is the other thing. I like seeing how boots are made differently. Because part of like what I was talking about, like everybody has their own little quirks on how they do things. Zach and Andrew do things differently, and so you can see how they do it differently, and you can learn like, oh, I'm gonna do that, or I don't really think that's the best way. I'm gonna do that instead. And so I see that, and I just like, oh, this guy turned the boot this way when he was cutting instead of that way. I'm gonna try that out, and so you just pick up all these little things.
That's
all over the place.
I think about this a lot with the boot making industry. This like balance of traditionally most bootmakers, it's like a lifetime career. They learned how to do something really young by their whoever they apprenticed under, and that's how they always did it, and there was no changing that. It's just what they did.
And obviously everybody thinks they're doing it the best way. So
And so my point being, like, now, like with YouTube, with the modern technology, you can be like, oh, how does this person over here do it? How does this person over here do it? You can actually look at all of that, compare, contrast, see what makes sense, see what is just legacy. I mean, we do it. There's tons of stuff we do that's just legacy, even to the point of like how we sand our boots, how we hold it when we sand it. It's just because, well, the guy 20 years ago trained the next guy how to do this, and he trained the next guy how to do this, and he trained the next guy. Yeah.
You know Lee Miller from Texas Traditions, cowboy bootmaker?
I
He's a
don't.
bespoke cowboy bootmaker in, I want to say Dallas or Houston. It was some Texas city. So he was trained by Charlie Dunn, who made he made John Wayne's boots.
Okay.
He made like Lyndon B. Johnson a pair of boots. He made, like all the Hollywood actors who want a pair of cowboy boots, every famous person who wants a pair of cowboy boots, they went to Charlie Dunn. And Lee Miller started in the 70s, and so now all those same people, they have a pair of boots from Lee. And so are you familiar with Kirby Allison on YouTube? He does mostly like sartorial, suiting stuff, bespoke shoes, like way above our level.
I know what video you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yes.
so he has like a 5-part series where he just films Lee making his pair of boots.
Okay,
And
yeah.
there's one part where Lee's like, yeah, I mean, Charlie Dunn is the cowboy bootmaker, and he taught me everything he knew. But I don't do things the way Charlie does it because, oh, here's my bootmaking friend from Europe who does it this way, and he showed me, oh, you should try it this way, and he's open-minded enough to adapt it for his own thing, and that's what I think is cool. It's not just,
That's awesome. Yeah. YouTube's a amazing resource. I thought there was like a brief moment where I was like, I'm gonna stop watching so much Nick's Boots videos and reviews, and then a customer came in to get their very first pair of Nick's Boots, and I recognized them. I was like, wait a minute, you just did a review on Nick's Boots, and like, you saw my channel? And it was this, I don't know how old they are. I'm going to say kid because showing my age, I'm not even that old.
I was gonna say because you're so old.
I'm still in my 20s. But
call me a kid.
I think he was younger than me. I could be wrong. But he is trying to make his own channel. He was super thorough. He like went into our history about the original Nikolai and the boots. His dad was the one who got the boots, and he like hyped him up for his dad. And he was in here finally getting himself a pair of boots. But he was like so stoked that like the video I think has like less than 1,000 views. But he's like, it was funny. He finished buying the boots and he FaceTimed someone, maybe a significant other, and he's like, look where I am. And guess what? One of the Nick's employees saw my YouTube video. I was like, okay, I'm going to keep watching every review now. It's really cool. The modern technology creates this whole new community where bootmakers and people who wear boots can all collaborate in a sense. Yeah. As long as you're willing to listen and change.
Exactly. But also at the same time, it's not as easy as it looks.
No.
I thought it would be. I watched every single one of those Nick's How It's Made videos before I moved here.
You watch all those videos, like, all right, I'm prepped. They don't even need to teach me. They're going to be so impressed. I'm just going to get there. I'm just going to start doing it.
By comparison to like what I know now, healing is pretty simple. It's a lot more complicated.
Yeah.
It's not as simple as it's like you're like, oh, you just line up the gauge and then you draw the line and then you throw the nails in. It's not that.
Make sure you don't hit the other nail and you're
you gotta make sure like I don't want to get too far into it.
Internal nail pattern, external nail pattern.
Exactly. So it's just there's so much more to it, and it's like that's like some people comment on the videos like, oh, I could do that, and it's like maybe. But I'm willing to bet you couldn't.
At least not on the first couple.
That's not like an ego thing, but it's just like maybe it is a little bit of an ego thing, but it's not as easy as it looks, and there's a lot to learn. You can't just learn from doing.
I mean, it's a skilled craft. You have to study it and
Which I mean, now you're apparently one of the best bootmakers here after a year. So congrats on that. I don't
want to be too self-inflated, but
no, hear that, Andrew? Jamin said he's better than you.
I'm not better than.
It's on record now. Anyway,
I'll take.
We're way over time, so I'm just going to cut you off. You're not allowed to defend yourself. Last question.
Okay.
What's making you happy today?
Today?
Or in general?
No, today.
Today specifically.
Jeez.
This Cobbler made me pretty happy.
This Cobbler.
Talking about myself. This is an ego thing. Everybody likes talking about themselves, right? Everybody loves talking about themselves.
I'm not gonna lie.
No matter someone says like, oh, I'm pretty humble. No, everybody likes talking.
I'm not
gonna
lie. You asked me to tell you about my my being hired, and it's like, oh yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
I'll talk
That's what
about
I'm saying.
myself.
That's why I never brought it up again, because I don't want you to be happy. This is my episode, so. But honestly though, like just being able to sit down and just nerd out for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is nice. And I
Jamin?
got Cobbler out of it. Yeah.
All
right.
Somehow. Anyway.
We are way over.
Anyway, Jamin, thank you for staying late and chatting with me, enjoying
to.
some delicious cobbler.
Mm-hmm.
Viewers, listeners, thank you for coming along with us. So we got to know Jamin a little bit better. The best bootmaker in Nick's Handmade Boots, according to him.
This is according to him, not me.
According to Jamin. I don't know your last name, otherwise I'd say it. According to Jamin.
It's confidential.
Jamin Confidential. Anyway, like, subscribe. I'd rank, rate. Ranking isn't a thing. Like, comment, subscribe.
YouTube
Rate.
used to have 5 stars.
Give us-
This shows
I was
how
gonna say, that
old
doesn't
you-
happen anymore.
Yeah, no,
But-
this is very
Give us
long
5
time.
stars.
Give us 5 stars on YouTube, yeah.
Smash that subscribe bell. Punch that bell.
I think you're gonna need to work on your
Your outros.
your YouTube personality just a little bit.
Punch that subscribe bell.
There
and
we
we'll
go.
catch
There
you
we
on the
go.
next one.
There we
Crushed
go.
it.
Awesome. All right.
Nice.
All right, that's it.
Jamin,
Yeah.
if you were a potato, how would you be cooked?
Oh. We're gonna be here for like 5 minutes. I'm gonna have to think about it.
It's a very important question.
Just a regular mashed potato, that's too. I go with a roasted potato.
Ooh, roasted.
Oh,
Just like-
nice.
Because that's my current favorite way of cooking potatoes is I'm too lazy to skin them, so leave the skins on.
Yeah.
Just rinse them, dice them up, drizzle olive oil, salt, pepper, and then what you do is I'll pick a random spice off my spice rack and just throw that on. And I'll take another spice and smell that. This is the secret for seasoning your food. Smell whatever spice you're thinking of adding, then smell the food. If it smells good, throw it in. If it doesn't, don't do it. And then you just do that, and then you'll just end up with some random cacophony of spices, and you get different roast potatoes every time.
Wow.
You just bake them in the oven, 450.
That's a
turn
pretty
them
good
nice
tip.
and crispy. Yeah.
I'm gonna
My-
try that.
My answer was just plain whole potato.
Just a plain whole
Just
potato.
plain whole potato.
Mine was just a baked potato.
A baked
Baked.
potato. You ever
Baked.
have a twice baked potato?
Yes.
Those ones are good.
Those are really good.